Hello and welcome to Conquering Alba, where we take you to the historical places that make Scotland what it is today. Today we are just west of Perth, while we visit the crowning place of Scotland's kings, Scone Palace. The location of Scone Palace was originally used as a religious location by the early Picts. The site of Scone Palace has both a pagan and Christian history as well as a royal one, and cannot be understated in the role that it has played in Scottish and English history. The country house that we can see today is an elegant 19th century historic home built as the seat of the Earls of Mansfield. It was constructed in place of an earlier 16th century palace, which itself replaced the famous Scone Abbey, site of the Scottish coronations, which was destroyed by religious reformers in 1559. The history of Scone Palace site as the crowning place of Scottish kings dates back to 1500 years ago, from Kenneth MacAlpine, who is known as the first king of Scotland in the 9th century, through to Charles II in 1651. Perhaps the most famous of Scottish kings, Macbeth, was also crowned at Scone, more precisely at Moot Hill. The traditional resting place of the Stone of Scone, which sits at Moot Hill today, is not the original stone, but rather a replica marking the original location. The Stone of Scone is sometimes referred to as the Stone of Destiny, has a history as varied as the palace itself. It was removed by Edward I in 1296 and has been housed in Westminster Abbey. But on Christmas Day 1950, 4 Scottish students from the University of Glasgow, Ian Hamilton, Gavin Vernon, Kay Matherson and Alan Stewart, removed the Stone of Scone from Westminster Abbey in London and took the stone back to Scotland. Shortly after they were caught, the stone was returned to England, but as a show of good faith in 1997, the stone was returned to Scotland. Whilst the Stone of Scone no longer exists at Scone Palace, but rather in Edinburgh Castle. Its place in history is far from over, having been used in the coronation of the current Queen, Queen Elizabeth II. There are plans in the future to return the stone to Scone. history of the Scone Gardens dates back about 900 years ago to the Augustine monks. who first began tending the land around the abbey. Today the abbey is gone and the ground bears witness to the early 19th century vision of the 3rd Earl's landscape designer John Loudon. But beneath the grass and among the trees within sight of the palace, there are still many reminders of Scoon's more distant past. Everywhere there are trees to marvel at, and the trees at Scone forge another strong link with the past. Close by the palace stands a huge old sycamore, its provenance is impressive as its size. This majestic tree is said to have been planted by James VI and I in 1617 on his only visit to Scotland following the union of the crowns in 1603. The magnificent David Douglas fir was brought over by David Douglas, who was a son of Scone. Fine old cheddars in Lebanon surround the chapel, as well as the Victorian Pinetum. What we have in front of us is the maze at Scoon. It was designed by international maze designer Adrian Fisher. At the centre of it is a bronze statue designed by David William Ellis representing the water nymph Arthusa. The maze is planted in a mixture of copper and green beech, designed to resemble the Earl of Manfield's family tartan, Ancient Murray of Tullibardine, and in this shape of a 5-pointed star which is part of the family's emblem. The maze was planted in 1991 with 2,000 beech trees and over 800 metres of path. The shortest way to the centre of the maze means a walk of only about 30 metres will let you discover the longest walk for yourself. The bridge over the entrance is based on a design from the Glasgow Garden Festival in 1988 and is made of timber from the Scoon estate. tried our best to get through the maze, but unfortunately we got lost in many occasions and just left back through the entrance, so if you ever do make the journey to Scoon, see if you can beat the maze for yourself. If you do decide to visit Scone Palace, while you roam the grounds you may find the free roaming peacocks on the grounds. Sadly, we are not permitted to photograph or video with inside the palace itself, for understandable reasons, as it is still used as the family home of the Earls of Mansfield. If you do take the journey to Scoon, we do suggest you go and visit inside, as it is a marvel of wonders from around the world. We hope you have enjoyed today's video here at the crowning place of Scotland's Kings, and we hope to see you next time. Alba go bra.